you can do everything right in baseball and still lose. You can hit the hardest ball possible right at someone. You can throw the perfect pitch right at someone. That is more so as we get more into this. What you learn about me is you can do everything right. And that's what I'm seeing even in the film industry is you can have all the pieces, you can have all the momentum, and COVID hits or something weird that is totally out of your control. So it's like, don't beat yourself up. For those who ever do, it's like, just keep effing moving. I don't know if we can cuss on this podcast, but just keep moving.
Welcome back to another episode of the Rough Cut Club. I am your host, Joey Nicotra, here in the studio with my right-hand man, Mr. Shane Reitzammer. Shane, how are you doing today, bro?
Great, man. I realized we're both holding pens. We look very studious right now.
We are very studious.
Write down some notes as we go. And
that's right.
Man,
I love it, man. Well, dude, it's good to see you. Good to be back. It's still a change for me, coming off of dadhood recently. And so excited to be back in person still. Yeah. It's still break from it's the new norm yet again. So
yeah, man, I missed a couple of episodes, but I'm glad to be back in the studio with you.
It's all good.
Trying to provide a little bit of color here.
I love it, man. Well,
color outside the lines.
That's right. Well, today's episode is a producer, director, production company owner, former athlete, and now athlete talent manager. I have had the privilege of working on a couple different projects with him. Excited about our guest today. It's always good when the guest is also a friend. And so welcoming to the Rough Cut Club, our newest VIP member, Mr. Casey Smith. Casey, welcome to the pod, brother.
How are we, gentlemen?
Dude, we are great, man. It's good to see you. It's been a long time since we've done a project together, so it's always good connecting face to face with friends and other filmmakers, man.
No, it feels good to see you growing. I love that aspect.
Yeah, coming from.
You guys got a lot going on.
Yeah, man, it's cool. So for those that don't know, Casey, I don't even know if you know this story fully and even how we met, but I tell it oftentimes because it's kind of it's got a really it was a cool story for me, and it was actually a milestone that I learned a lot from. But I was actually driving through Arizona.
That's right.
At the time.
That's right.
Yeah, and so one DP, director, filmmaker, entrepreneur that I'm a huge fan of and has definitely impacted my life in a big way is Jacob Owens, who I just so happened to see was filming in Arizona for this baseball project, and I DM'd him for the very first time and was like, "Hey, dude, if you need any extra hands on set, I'm happy to come help out for free." And he said, "Can you be here tomorrow?" Yeah. And he said, "Can you be here tomorrow?" And I was like, this is somebody who's was like top G for a minute in my mind. And he just invites me onto his film set. And I'm like, oh, for sure. And so I show up, and Casey is the director for this production, and wound up getting connected with him, which then led me to working on another production in Austin, and was a snowball effect of networking, that came from this one moment of just reaching out and seeing what kind of projects you land up on. And so super cool happenstance that our paths cross. But I love that story, man.
And that's great too. I mean, for our listeners, that's that network of influence, and shoot your shot, man.
Yeah,
reach
dude.
out, because I mean, you guys obviously got connected from you reaching out, in a DM and being available and just offering that help. So people that are just starting out, or heck, even us now, still, man, I love to network and just get connected and work on fun projects. But it's a great way to obviously grow your network. And I'm glad you guys got connected. And now I get to meet Casey, and I'm excited to hear all about. I'm curious, professional athlete. What sport did you play?
So I just made it to college, right? I was through javelin in college, and I played for the baseball team.
Oh,
so I went to Indiana. Yeah, so, I definitely had a shot. I could throw really hard. But have you heard of Tommy John? You know what that is? The elbow surgery. It's like the infamous elbow surgery.
Is that's different than the
tennis elbow?
Yeah, different than tennis elbow.
Let's put it this way. It's the thing you don't want to get, and it ends careers. So I got that late in my career, picked up a camera was filming my team, and I just found this love for telling stories, and it's kind of grown from there. It's been cool ever since.
Did you actually? So was it a elbow injury or a back injury?
I got hurt a lot in college. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, I had multiple surgeries. I had a back injury that ended up like blood disease thing that got in my eye. I lost like vision my senior year. Yeah, in the right eye. So I found a different way. We had a really cool, I wanted to tell this. So have you guys heard of Robbie Benson before?
No.
He's the voice of the Beast. Remember Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah.
So this guy shows up on campus and he opens up the film program. So here I am as like a hurt senior. I'm like, dude, I got to sign up for this guy's class. And I join it, fell in love with just this entire industry. And like, that is the origin story. And then I went back and started making videos and made some with, he's a hot name right now, Kyle Schwarber. Are you familiar with that guy?
Sounds really familiar, but yeah.
Big baseball dude.
Yeah.
So we made a couple mess around projects. Honestly, you guys should see one of these videos that's circling around. I don't think MLB knows much about it circling around, but it's hysterical with Schwarber from college. But that's the quick origin story.
Man, you guys have similar stories. So
we do.
Joey, yeah, hearing the Joey
that's why I
professional
asked,
skateboarding. Yeah.
That's why I asked if it was a back injury, because my back injury was one of the things that led me to being injured from skateboarding. Now I wasn't, Nigel Houston or Ryan Sheckler, or Tony Hawk, or any of the like big names that you know of. But I was already like, making money in high school from skateboarding and, doing contests and stuff like that. I was, not top 1% or anything, but enough to where it was like, that was what I thought I was going to do with my life. And a back injury wound up taking me out. And that's how I transitioned to being on the other side of the camera, because I was always growing up making skate videos. And it was like, well, now I'm not a skateboarder and my identity is gone. So I got to pivot and, build a new identity.
Skate videos that's like where some of the best work artistically is. We picked up an editor. You remember Squid?
Yeah.
A legendary editor. He came from the skate world. It's such a beautiful thing to film too, and you learn the rhythms and
Yeah, I remember seeing the edit that he put together for one of the like Sizzlers that y'all did, and I was like, bro, this guy is legit. Like super.
How about similar story, we found him just out of nowhere. Like, kid banged on our door. We weren't even there. He called. He was just like so hungry to get in. He was coming off a skate tour at the time and just landed in Phoenix some weird way. And he just found us. And
I got to get connected with him again, dude. His work was so sick. I forgot about him.
He's everyone that's kind of passed through your life, like talking early on how we, that first day with the baseball stuff. Like, I've met some of my best friends, like through them being a PA or like showing up, and you just see the interest and the grind, and it's like, God, how do I fuel that fire?
Yeah,
right? So like, how do I continue to create more opportunities for people like that? And that was my whole mission.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, so taking back to some of the projects that we worked on, you had built a production company with a business partner called Say Yay. Take me back to the early days of building that and kind of, paint a picture of how that unfolded.
Yeah. The funny part, I kind of got lucky with the content boom, right? Remember when Instagram videos, none of that stuff was even a thing.
Yeah.
So I was working for a company that we went around and we did high level events for NFL, NBA, like professional athletes. We did their events, their camps. And I kind of stumbled into this opportunity where like we created viral moments before viral moments were like a thing. And do you guys recall, are you guys basketball fans at all?
A little bit.
You know James Harden?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so he like dunked on this little kid, right? And I filmed it, we cut it up, we made it really cool. And we like created this little series where like NBA players would play one-on-one with these kids and just destroy them. And it was hilarious. And everyone loved it, right? So then I'm on the plane and I get off the plane and my phone like blew up and it's ESPN, Good Morning America. It's all these people, they like wanted that clip. And I was like, I got a little opportunity here. So at that moment, it was like, hey, I'm with Say Yay. like, let's launch a little company here. And that's when we kind of started putting the brand out there. And we started continue to work with the professional space. And Say was just like at the beginning, it was like, how can we be the relationship between, athletes and artists? So then it was all about like recruiting guys who otherwise weren't athletes or your traditional like sports journalist types, right? And we would like mesh them. That's why Jacob Owens, when you met, it was a perfect fit. It was like, how do you get these guys working in the music industry,
right,
at very high levels? A big one too is Good Boy Shady. He's up with like P Diddy's creative director now. Like he was a first time Say guy. It's like you had this little niche market that we kind of rode out for a while, and Say's kind of continued to be that, to try to keep it manageable, right? Just anytime you need something that's a little different than what you would expect in sports, that's where we tried to be. And then you get into projects we worked on, but yeah, so that's some Say stuff right there.
Yeah. And it was a cool niche too, which, a lot of times in production companies, what winds up happening is you just generally do whatever videos kind of come your way, but you guys really niche down, which I thought was super dope. And the content that y'all were making was super different. And so, it was definitely like a super dope company for me when I was like, damn, like these dudes are really doing some like cool and different stuff. Talk to me now about like, in hindsight, if you could, can you dive into too, like today, like where Say is at and where your relationship with it is?
Yeah. So it's right now we found that the most success for us, like you talk about like when you first start out, you kind of ride each project to a larger project. And it wasn't necessarily like talent on screen or opportunity to the client, but we went from like, okay, how do we take a 15-second to a 60-second to a sizzle to an unscripted pitch to actually filming 2,000 hours on a docuseries to now getting into a scripted project with Salvatore to pitching movie ideas, right? So it was always like this growth pattern. Right. Now we look at Say and it's like, what if we just would have stopped and mastered everything under 60 seconds? Taking the same style, taking the same artistic, athletes and artistry coming together. So that's where Say is now, is like we're a little bit, I brought on two really talented guys out of Phoenix. One kid named Justin James. It's like same thing, music industry. He does all of like DJ Snake stuff.
So sick.
But it's like we want to master under 60-second deliverables at that intersection still.
I love that, man. So, there's a lot of people right now that are in the production company owner game, and doing like the small business production stuff. What advice would you give your younger self when starting a production company, for those that are listening right now to learn from?
Don't think it needs to grow into the biggest thing ever. Just let it be where it falls and let it be extremely good at what it does, if that makes sense. Yeah. I use like the height example. It's like some people are just really good at 5'11". They don't need to wish that they grow to 6'7", or it's like you stress yourself out. You step out of your comfort zone a little too much, where it's like there is something to be said. If I could go back to young Casey, I would have said, okay, you're doing some really cool stuff under that 60-second range. Stay there, open up something different, and don't confuse that brand, right? So make sure your brand is like, protect how simple and how simply communicating you can be when describing your brand, if that makes sense.
Dude,
yeah. Great point.
No, I really like that. And I think that I am guilty, Shane probably as well. We, going out on a limb, throwing you in this, are probably guilty of wanting to blow things up, to a crazy. A lot of people are. Yeah, and I mean it's an easy thing to get caught up in, but I think that's super sound to even dial it back and just master the level that you're at, really before trying to just like constantly reach. Like there's something to that.
It's a marathon and not a sprint, and so you gotta focus on the level or the stage that you're on too. And then on a branding point, I can't agree more too, because I think, that's after the pandemic, we diversified a lot of different products, right? Everybody was scrambling, like, how do we survive and stuff. And so sometimes you have to come back to the core of, what you really do and focus back on that. There's things you do in different circumstances, but like you said, you can kind of get, it gets messy in branding even, right? And then how do you talk to clients or even a fellow filmmaker and explain what you do? So no, it's good. It's probably something that Joey and I both need to hear. And a lot of our listeners too, man. It's a valid point.
Yeah.
We're visual artists, right? Like we visualize. So I always say, like, see it as a very clear object, not a diluted, crazy painting in business.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Who you are as an artist should be something way more fluid. But I've found and seen more success with people who are extremely knowledgeable, pinpoint, disciplined, and they protect that brand vision to where it, like, literally materializes into a clear image in your head.
Yeah, that's good, dude. I gotta ask, like, where did the decision to name it Say Yay come from?
Dude, say yay. We do this every day, yay. I was sitting in the dorm room and I was like, wait, that's sick. And then I started writing it down a little bit. I just liked how it looked. Now I will say, like, everyone's like, is it say yeah? It's like, no, no, say yay. It's like a little sexiness to it.
I love it, dude. We do this every day, yay. That's amazing, dude. Yeah. Shout out Kanye and what is it, Big Sean? Was that Big Sean's line?
I think so. I'm not like an expert in that.
Yeah. I think that's Big Sean.
That's a great origin story.
That is a great origin story.
I love origin stories for names, so that's good.
Dude, so obviously you came out of the the baseball game and the athlete world, and you're still, trying to do projects surrounded by athletes and whatnot. How do you feel like your career in baseball as an athlete impacted your approach to being a filmmaker?
Just grind, right? I know how to win. So, like, I don't want to lose. So even in the battle I'm in right now, it's like, you guys don't hear about the projects that are still trying to be made, right? And all the fighting it takes. And you hear, like, these stories of guys pushing projects for 10 years or 7 years. And it's like, someone has to do that. So, like, in baseball, it's the same thing. It's a fail sport, right? Guys hitting 300. And that's 3 out of 10 times this dude is getting a hit. So he's used to failing, and that's baseball specifically. Same with filmmaking. It's like, dude, like, how many amazing stories are shelved, or like they option the script, they put it on a shelf, they don't even make it, or someone has this idea. It's like in baseball, same thing. Like you get used to failing, but you just learn how to keep moving, and you just put it down. So, like, that was ingrained in me, right? Yeah. So I just see it as, if I can hit 3 of 10 projects in 10 years, dude, I'm hitting really damn well. You know what I mean? So, like, having that mentality. Yeah. And I'm my dad was a coach. So, like, I've literally played the game, been around the game since I was born.
Yeah.
And it's a different style, but it translates well to film.
That's great. Batting average to film. Yeah. That's
well,
I didn't think of it that way. That's great, though.
And I always paint the picture too with me with skateboarding. Like, I fell sometimes 1,000 times before I ever landed one trick. Like trying to learn, like, your first kickflip is like the most difficult thing on the planet.
Tell me about it. So I didn't skate.
But it's like you have to fall 1,000 times, and 999 of those you have to get back up so that you roll away the one time. And I think that is my competitive advantage as a filmmaker, that I come from that background and I bring that mentality to filmmaking. And so I never thought about it with baseball, though. Like, learning how to hit a 90-mile-an-hour pitch is not easy, and you're going to miss sometimes, most of the time, probably more than you actually hit it.
You got to take the swings.
How about this, though? You can do everything right in baseball and still lose. You can hit the hardest ball possible right at someone. You can throw the perfect pitch right at someone. That is more so, as we get more into this, learn about me, is you can do everything right. And that's what I'm seeing even in the film industry, is you can have all the pieces, you can have all the momentum, and COVID hits or something weird that is totally out of your control. So it's like, don't beat yourself up. For those who ever do, it's like, just keep effing moving. I don't know if we can cuss on this podcast, but just keep moving.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I would say.
Dude, I love that so much, bro. As somebody who, obviously in the social media space, like sports filming is becoming increasingly more saturated, like in that 60-second or less space. What advice do you have for filmmakers who are interested in filming sports content to get in the game and then to also stand out?
Get in how? Like tell stories?
So like
just
not just everyone can go and do a project with James Harden, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so like what advice do you have for people to really start working with, some of the top performing athletes in the game, and then to make content that's separated from some of the, the noise that we see on social media?
I think if you're an assertive filmmaker, right, if you do have like a producer mentality, like truly, like it's, getting to like a James Harden is somewhat tough. Like you got to have put in the work from a business standpoint to like, reach out to their agents, right?
Right.
Make yourself available. One thing that I think would be cool for filmmakers is a lot of these guys, they appreciate content just as much. Like they want to collab. They want to make cool stuff. Athletes think they're artists. Okay. Not saying they aren't, but it's like, if I were a young filmmaker, I didn't know any of these guys, I would reach out to agencies and I would make myself available, show my portfolio no different than I would at like a studio. And I would say, I am in town. I'm in Phoenix. Like if your guy needs a shoot or if he needs some content or if he just wants to look good, like these athletes are continuing to build their brand. They'll take it.
Yeah.
And then that's where the relationship comes together. And then that guy goes in the locker room. Now he's talking about, hey, so-and-so's my photo guy. Like I've seen a lot of dudes just like pop up because they just went to a workout.
Yeah.
Made an athlete look really good in that workout. And then he told his buddies, and then now you're in the world. So that would be like my hustler advice, is start sending your work to agents because they need it.
That's great. I've seen one of our editors who used to edit.
Yeah.
He now lives up in New York, and
Yeah.
he did that in Dallas. And so he not only in the athlete world, he got in with the Dallas Cowboys, but he did that in the music world too, and just showing up, being available, offering that free content, and then you make yourself so valuable, right? And then then you're getting the paycheck for it, and you're getting the network, like you said. That talk in the locker room goes a long way, and
100%.
and then you become the guy that they go to, or the production company that they go to. Yeah, solid advice. We need to get back on that game to some extent as well.
I love it, bro. So two of the projects that we got a chance to work on were insane, for one, but for two, to my knowledge, I don't believe they ever saw the light of day. And so I kind of want to touch on, we did that project, the baseball one for the Arizona Suns, I believe. Can you talk on? Yeah, and so you guys had shot the entire thing. I believe it got cut together as well. Can you talk about like why that never actually got aired?
COVID hit us, right? And we followed a storyline. So just to give you some context, we came in like 2017 with Arizona State, and we came together and we came up with this idea to kind of document their baseball team. They had like one of the worst years in program history. The story was there. They were trying to flip the script, kind of bring this program back to where it was. So we rolled cameras, we had full access, and it was beautiful. I mean, we shot a baseball documentary series on Reds with the Godfather anamorphic lenses. When I say it was beautiful, like this is the most beautiful sports story you've ever seen, and it's just sitting on a shelf.
I vouch for it
it's
too.
Not dead, but it's not dead. What happened is we filmed for 3 years and COVID hit. Coach got fired, so our main storyline is kind of like a no-go. It wouldn't make sense for the program. Now, I don't think the school would really pay off on it, or sign off on it. But like we took our shot, right? Like we came up with enough vignette options. Like we could pull like a Last Dance, because some of these guys are actually in the big leagues now. So if they go off to have a really beautiful career, we're sitting on 2,000 hours of them at college. And we happen to, if anyone wants to hop off here and listen, so we captured the birth of the #1 pick in the MLB draft.
Wow.
This kid shows up on our cameras. He's a little freshman. We have his entire blow up process. So when people, it's not dead, it's paused. So this is kind of, it's now shifted into a long game. I mean, this is my retirement fund, is what I always joke about. But it's like, it's got the life. But yeah, that's the weird thing about film, right? Like you can be so far into a project and something comes up, like an earth event, like COVID, a coach gets fired, but it shouldn't like sway you from taking that shot in the first place. So we're still in it.
I love that, dude.
Never die.
Yeah. And I mean, so you've done a bunch of doc work, you know, even outside of this. And I believe the other project, you didn't get nearly as far, to my knowledge, in, you know, not 2,000 hours in on the other one.
Are you talking about the release concept, the one you were on in Texas?
The almost near-death experience.
Yeah. So we did, well, the beauty of that one too, and people, I don't think they realize, like we actually just started a business that paired professional athletes who were retired with retired special forces operators, right? So you have two guys from two different industries coming together. They don't know what to do in their life anymore, right? These guys have been running and gunning literally in one category. In the other, it's just like you have this 36, 40-year-old retired MLB player. He's like, what am I doing with my life? So we just paired them up and we would go out on these adventures. So we had the business model. And we were like, and that was working, right? Because we're selling spots. Like you get people to go with them. So now you're drinking around a campfire. You're hearing war stories and stories of guys in like the MLB dugouts. Then we were like, dude, what if we shot a show? And, you know, so we were like, why don't we shoot a pilot? So we went to shoot a pilot, and the main guy in our, I think you were down there, he flipped his vehicle. There was like an injury.
Yeah.
And it was just like, we didn't want to risk it. Stuff just didn't work out in that favor. But it wasn't like we weren't riding on the success of the show, because we had like a cool little thing going with or without a show. So we just leveraged, and that was kind of the one thing I was excited to talk about, is just leveraging media, right? To like form and make businesmes. Like it doesn't, I mean, it's pretty commonplace, but
well, and
that was,
I think a lot of times too, like going back to like the batting thing, like sometimes you do everything right, and sometimes you miss the pitch or you know, you miss a hit or whatever. There's sometimes a fear around, you know, especially with a pilot, where it's like you invest all this money into it and then it doesn't go anywhere or whatnot. Like, what advice do you, or not advice, but what lessons do you feel like you learned, like from that process of where you had like this two incredible films that aren't dead, but didn't work out exactly the way that you had planned, like from the jump? Like, what did you learn from that for the filmmakers that are listening?
Well, nothing happens the way you planned. Right? So I'm learning that. Like, tell me one thing that it's like, how can my 18-year-old self tell me what my 23-year-old self's going to be like? Like, what? No, you can't. It puts you in a position of fluidity, right? You learn to adapt and recover and just continue to move forward. But like, you have your moral compass, you have your guidelines that, you know, you stay within that. But again, it's also not like, don't get so wrapped up in the business. I think where people get, where it's tough to move forward is in art. You do express yourself you're so vulnerable sometimes through these processes. Like, I feel bad for guys that we had, you know, open up to us on cam, like in these interviews. And it's like, we don't do anything like that, or we don't do anything with that footage. Like it hits you in a deeper way, but you just have to, just got to keep moving. Like, things are going to happen as they just always do. And you gotta do it again.
I can't think of like a single film that I've ever made, and this is really on the art side, not so much the business side, but I can't think of a single film that I've ever made that I didn't like see something that could have been done better on my end as a DP, you know, from the lighting, the camera movement, the stability of the shot, the composition, like the, you know, the performance that we got out of the actor. Like there's always something that could have been improved. And that's something that I have learned, where it's like the artistic vision never gets cast perfectly, you know, when you actually see the final thing printed. And that's one of the beauties of filmmaking, though, is like trying to master, you know, perfecting as much as you can, but being willing to, you know, sometimes the canvas paints itself to a degree. So,
well, it's also like a carrot, right? Like your artistic expectations will always be in front of you, and it keeps you chasing them. It's like, so you express yourself exactly how you wanted. You are not going to be satisfied because that carrot is already, you've elevated. So now it's just, there's another one to climb. Like it keeps us up, right? It's what keeps us going is that we just can never be satisfied. But cool. That's what a competitor is. Yeah. And that's the best part.
I love it, bro. Talk to me about, you just recently did a film called Salvatore. Tell me a little bit about that and what that is and kind of what went into it.
So I spent 9 months with Sammy the Bull Gravano, who is, have you heard of the Gambino crime family? Yeah. Have you heard of John Gotti?
Yeah.
John Gotti, he was his underboss.
Whoa.
In the Gambino crime family. So I had this little kick of like, I want to tell stories. I want to be around and develop content. I'm just very fascinated in like crime and like war story, like something, just the darker side of the world, right? Here we are, we're all living this beautiful life, but something is not adding up, right? There's a whole nother life behind it all. So I got on this journey of like, I want to tell these types of stories. So Sammy the Bull Gravano, he's in Phoenix, Arizona, where I was. He kind of caught wind that we were like producers in the area. So it was the 50th anniversary of The Godfather. So like mob content is like a really big deal, right? So this guy, he basically had a story. He has it's not a beautiful story because people died, but it's like, it's a perfect movie script, right? So I was kind of put on a team. I don't know if you guys have heard, there's like a really cool team that came together on this. Some Hollywood types, they've been behind some of the best gangster films of all time. So they found interest. And so we worked the whole time on developing like this movie pitch. And in the interim, we decided to shoot like a little mini series. So Sammy the Bull Gravano, this notorious underboss, who for some reason is out walking in public, which is crazy to me. He acted in his own like fake film. It's like 8 or 5 episodes. Each thing is like 12 minutes. It's like it's doses. It was a grind. I'll leave it at that. But you know, when it's all said and done, it's like, I thought it was very cool because for the first time you have, like, we all watch films where like there's a killer. We have the killer playing himself in the film. So as shitty as it is, at the end of the day, like that is anger that you see from someone who's been there. And there were moments on set where everyone had to leave because this dude was going there. And it's like, if you truly appreciate it, like I don't care if you think it's good, if you think it's bad, because all the pieces, right? He's not a professional actor, but the fact that we have a historical character playing himself truly, to me, was interesting. Like there's the Navy SEAL films, like Act of Valor. I think that was cast at all Navy SEALs, like something similar, right? So if you want to see anger, if you want to see those moments, that was kind of the point of that project, was like, there you go. That's what he looked like when he was about to hit someone. So it was enough for that. We kind of, parted our ways, respectfully. He's just a very interesting, he's out right now. If you go to his like podcast, like he tells all these, he's a great storyteller. It's some of the most interesting content of all time.
Whoa.
But yeah, look up Sammy the Bull Gravano, man, and John Gotti, and he helped take him down with the FBI. It was just this whole other world that I had never truly looked into, and I was like, this is insane. But yeah, Jake was on that project. We all got together and tried to make the beauty too, I'll say that, is these little short films, like mini series, where it's kind of, you pack them into like just a very quick moving series. With the story is like, the story feels like an accordion, like you could lengthen it out to like 48-minute episodes. I think it's something. So anyone listening, like, try to develop like a 48-minute storyline and compress it and put it on like hyper speed. There's just something to it. So overall, it's just a really cool project. It's out. You can go on his YouTube, Sammy the Bull Gravano's YouTube, and watch it. But yeah, when you watch it for how I was invested in the project, and that was because you're truly witnessing history.
That's awesome. I can't wait to check that out. We'll link it in the YouTube and the podcast. Yeah. And I can't imagine you. I mean, you directed that. I'm guessing produced, directed. Yeah. I can't imagine having like directing those scenes. You know what I mean? And then having that experience with. I mean, talk about some BTS set experience. Did y'all have BTS on site for this project?
We did. Yeah, we did. There's some stuff, but a lot of it too, like talent management, right? Mm-hmm. So here I am trying to like express myself creatively while managing the emotions of someone who's real.
Yeah.
Right. Like when he gets angry, it's different. Mm-hmm. It's different. So it was like even getting the comfortability of people wanting to be on set with him, and just everyone involved in the project. There was always like a little integration, like, period that we had to kind of like get over that. Like, okay, this guy's out of prison. Everything's cool. Like he's for some reason he's walking around. So he's allowed to be here and tell these stories and do this stuff. But yeah, it's it's a cool project. Like, watch it from the lens I just told you, and I think you'll appreciate it more.
Yeah,
love it,
dude.
Definitely
I'm really excited to watch that through that perspective. I can't imagine like just what the atmosphere. Yeah,
look him. I mean, he's the world's 15 deadliest people. Like,
gosh, wow.
He's like one of the most notorious of all time. That's a hitman. He is the hitman for the Gambino crime family. And now you'll start hearing it in movies too. They'll be like, yeah, it's the Gambino crime family, like in a cop movie or a hero movie. It's the real deal. And it was weird sitting with a guy who would tell me, he's like, we own New York. It's like, wait, yeah, you actually, like, it's like, wait, it's different. It's just, power is a different thing.
Wow. That's a very unique story, and just like unique opportunity to tell that, just experience that on set. Like I said, I can't imagine. Just the atmosphere had to be like very, it had to be tense.
At first, he is a funny guy for what it's worth. He makes people feel good around him.
That's good.
But yeah, no, there's always like it would be like petting a pit bull.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're just a little like is it going to bite?
Yeah.
And I do want to clarify, I absolutely love pit bulls. I have them, so I'm not like.
We're going to edit that out. No one's going to know. I love it. I love it. That's sick, dude. Yeah, I can't wait to check it out now, even more so than before. Transitioning here, talk to me about what the digital department is. What is that? What are you doing with the digital department now? Give me a little insider on that.
Yeah, so I'm opening up and representing like their sports division. So sticking with my guns and what I'm good at, I'm going to go out and sign and represent the interest of athletes in NIL and sports marketing. Same stuff. So it's like, how do I, pair teams and grow these athletes' brands in ways that they've never done? And the digital department is a badass company. They are actually like merged, and we're under Dolphin Entertainment. So we have like everything you need. We're like the Hollywood's #1 PR firm, like conglomerate. So it's like my whole goal is to give athletes an avenue that they otherwise didn't have through traditional like contract agencies. So in sports, just Like you sign your big contract, right? Marketing and all that stuff is more so kind of your second priority. We want to make it like, we want to be experts in that versus some agencies that otherwise it's just a piece of the pie. But yeah, I'm here for the athletes.
And is the heart of, like, I imagine like there's a big piece of that that's wrapped up in like 60-second social. Like
it's everything. We do like, we can get all the way up to landing you on TV shows, and building out your podcast, building out your book ideas, launching everything. We take your name, image, and likeness, and we maximize it out. The only thing we don't do is your league contract. That's it.
That's sick.
That's great, man. I feel like there's a big push now, especially with the younger athletes, again, for brand marketing and personal branding, right? Like my wife and I love watching football, watch the quarterback, the Netflix series Quarterback, and then you just start seeing Patrick Mahomes on every commercial, man, every branding and all of his social. And it's I think it's going to be a great place to be. Obviously, you guys know what you're doing, and there's a lot of need for it in the industry, because we've worked, Dallas Mavericks and other sports teams, and you see, there is kind of a limit, right? Because it's like their main lead contract, but there's a lot more that they can develop and do. So when you were telling me all of that, it kind of, I don't know why, but I kept thinking about Entourage. I was like, are you guys like Entourage? Like you're the real deal for Entourage?
I was gonna say, like, no one really realizes the push behind the scenes to get people out there. There's this like common perception of like, oh, so and so's famous, everything's just gonna come to me and everyone's gonna blow up. No, there's conversations to be had, there's deals to be done, there's a whole campaign push behind the scenes that I wouldn't say the average person is familiar with. And I joined a very successful team at that, like top of the line, and I'm beyond blessed, and I get to bring that to athletes, and then I also get to bring athletes that it's just this beautiful it's exactly kind of building off Say, you talk about kind of leveling up, and I feel like I've leveled up into this position, and now I get to educate them. Like the NIL space is, I don't know, it's the college athletic market. It's going to be an interesting venture, but yeah, I just started.
That's incredible, bro. Yeah,
congrats, man. That's really cool.
Yeah, and I wanted to touch on too, like, because you come from the background of doing like these crazy feature length projects, and also like mini series and stuff like that, and then transitioning to doing what you're doing now. Like, how do you balance both of those? Like, where does the passion lie the most? Like long term, are you pursuing both still? What does that look like?
I think a guy in my position needs to be able to pursue all, right? So now it's just about I wear a different shirt, right? So or I wear a different hat. It's like, if I can use my contacts to help athletes that I now represent, so if I can still make those connections, like my whole goal and everything I've ever done is just to connect people. I learned it from the best. It's like, so now I'm just connecting different people for different opportunities, but I can't be just one thing. I don't think any of us should just be one thing. We should still be able to pursue long format opportunities in film while managing an athlete's 60-second branded video.
Yeah.
Well, it goes back to what Casey, you said so well at the beginning of, you're looking for those people with that passion, and then you want to provide opportunity, and that's like your goal, your calling, your mission. And I love that. Like, I think it's so important to find those people and then provide opportunities, whether it's a 60-second or a long format. And like you said, being able to bounce back and forth between all of it. It's great to have that ability. Like you also said, I think that flex, and that's what I love in our industry is that you don't have to stay in one thing. You get to express your art in a lot of different ways. And it might be in a lot of different businesses and brands too, right? And that's, I think, where the business is where you got to have the clarity, and then the artism, the artistic side of you can have that flexibility. So congrats, man. That sounds awesome. What I'm jumping in and asking this question because I'm curious, is there anything you can speak or tell us about that you've got coming up? Like any projects that you're working on, series, or what's next for you, Casey?
I potentially have a really big project in sports with a very reputable institution. And it's going to be like a hybrid of everything that I've been working on. It's like if this thing goes, we would begin filming in January. I will know this before the year's up. But yeah, it's a very intimate sports doc, kind of like the Game of Thrones of baseball.
Whoa.
Like there's one path. Everyone wants to be king. How do you get there? So we'll see if that thing lands. Otherwise, I'm still continuing to push sports projects. I have some very cool military stories that I think will see the light of day here soon with the war wrapping up. A lot of these classified missions are being declassified, so there's some cool stuff there. But no, I'm a well-rounded guy right now. I'm a dad, so big. I'm taking care of my kid.
Shout out.
Congrats on that.
I got it. Yeah, we call him Teddy Stone. So Teddy Stone is going to be a legend.
Nice.
Just throwing that out there. But no, I've just been raising him the past 3.5 months.
So awesome.
Like making sure everything's moving and trying to stay light and happy.
Love it, man.
Congrats on that.
Yeah,
Having kids my second daughter was born September 27th. Parker Lee, and then I've got Kaya Jade that was born, almost 16 months ago. So I got 2 under 2, and like the dad game it adds a whole nother level to the filmmaking and the business side, right? I mean, it's a lot to juggle, but it's the best thing ever, man. Has that changed? I'm curious because it has changed some things for me, and even what I want to do and what I'm willing. How has being a dad affected any of your projects, or thinking of like, before I was like, I'll go do a 21-day feature, something like that. It's harder now. I got to really weigh out everything and go, I'm going to miss 21 days of life there's so much that happens in these early stages. Has being a father changed anything for you in the film industry?
Yeah, I think it cuts it makes things more clear, right? Like you're not willing, and I don't know if this is good or bad yet, right? Follow up with me, but like you don't experiment as much as you did. You know your time is more valuable, so you have to be more decisive. I would say it just sharpens the tool.
Yeah, it's well put.
Moving.
It's awesome,
but it's also giving you perspective, right? You can tell different sides of characters that I couldn't relate to a lot of characters I've worked with or developed or even been interviewing. It's like I never knew that feeling. Now I get it.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Are you getting sleep yet?
I am. My wife is a trooper. She's like letting me sleep, like so I can be productive in the day. Like I'll even go into our guest bedroom if I need to. Like she's I'm lucky. Let's just put it that way.
That's awesome. It's good teamwork.
I love it, man. Well, I got one more question here before we get to our last 5. Man, what is one piece of advice that you can give to directors who are trying to grow in their career or their craft right now?
Just make it. You'll never be ready.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's good. Complete it. Yeah.
Love it, dog.
I heard. Yeah. I feel like I hear that thread from the very beginning with you talking about baseball and you talking about skateboarding, and I think so many people in this industry. We have interns to people that reach out to us on social, to even contractors that work for us, and it's that fear of failure that stops so many people. And it's like get in.
It's like I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I got this. I'm gonna do it. Do it.
Mm-hmm.
Nike has the best phrase. It's so cliche, but it's literally in our face all the time. Just do it. Like, do it. Even if it's horrible, do it. Just do it, because you need it. It's the mastery film school. And you've made like a film, Joey. Like you get it. Think of like where you were before.
Oh my gosh.
Like your thought process, and then after the project's done, you're like, damn. Like, why didn't I just do that?
What's funny is I don't even know if I've talked about it, but the way that I view filmmaking as a whole changed after I did my first feature, where it was like I I approach like the pre-production process different as a DP now. I approach like me being a leader on set differently, and like how I conversate with people on set, and like the clarity that I want to make sure that my team feels. You know, even like the post-production, and just like trying to think through different creative angles, and just the language of like everything changed when I made my first feature. And it's like just getting in there and doing it even before you're ready for it was like by far like the biggest growing season for me as a filmmaker in a condensed amount of time that I've ever gone through.
People want to see you raw anyways, right?
Yeah.
Like they want to see your evolution as an artist. So show them something that is going to be here, and then they'll love that. They'll love that. Like, it's like your first work's never going to be your best.
No.
Just don't decline, I guess is what I would say.
Yeah. I love it, bro. I love it. Keep pushing. Well, dog, we got 5 more questions before we get you out of here. We ask them to all of our guests. Tell me, if you could go back and do it all differently in your career, what is one thing that you would change?
My wardrobe. I swear to God. Nothing. I wouldn't change anything other than like, just, I was looking at pictures of me. I was like, damn, people are hinting at it. I could have had a little bit more style early
The
on.
BTS would have had a little bit more flair to it.
Oh, that's so good.
The future doc for Casey. That's so sick.
Yeah.
That's good.
No, but I don't think you should think like your path is where you're supposed to be.
Yeah. Dig it, man. What is one thing that excites you the most about the current film industry or market?
I love that there's so many opportunities to launch and get your product like sold. Like there's so many platforms. There's so many ways someone can watch your work now. So like if you're a filmmaker, there's more reason to make projects. There's more buyers. There's more people interested in filling time. So that's what I love about the industry. It's not just like 4 premier platforms. It's there's no excuse anymore if you're in this.
I love it. What is one piece of advice that you can give to filmmakers trying to grow in their craft or their business right now?
I would stick to like the filmmakers just continue to make work, right? And like let the snowball build. I would say don't lead with the business, right? So lead with the heart, let the business follow. And I would say build a business team so you can stay more creative. So like if you're going to go network, find some business people who appreciate, because they're the industry where I've met, I consider the top of my experience. Like there are guys who love being the business guy in this industry. They're not like a business guy faking the business because he actually wants to be a director, right? Or like there's just a lot of, find someone who truly appreciates the stuff that you don't want to do and delegate it. And then your business will grow because you have that relationship, the team, like, yeah.
How do you juggle in your own life being a business owner and being a creative? Because that's something, you know, that you gotta, they're 2 different roles, right? Like the business is around the creative component, but when you're trying to grow a production company or a business or a product or a brand or whatever, and you're also trying to be a creative and direct, how do you personally balance both of those?
Well, so let's say if I'm 50-50 of each, then I'll find someone who's 100 in one of the others. So if I'm 50% artistic, I need to surround myself with 100% artistic, while on the flip side, you know, my team needs to be 100% business where I'm 50% business. Like part of my job just in a producer role is you got to have good taste, right? Like I do need to have the taste. It's more so like, yeah, I like being the hybrid. So it's just what I have to be good at, I guess. Like I'm not going to be fully invested artistically. I can't. So I know when to like let go and then dump it off to those who are 100%.
It's awesome. It's good advice, man.
If that makes sense.
Where do you feel like as an industry we are headed in filmmaking, or what should we be focusing on?
We just have, again, back to the access. Like, I think unscripted is beautiful. You just saw an entire industry get shut down, right? But you know what was still thriving was unscripted. So like finding real stories. So if you can position yourself to not rely, like, it's weird because you do, here I am in one breath saying get a team, but then I'm also saying, like, figure out how your team isn't reliable on like the industry to get ever held up. So I would say when the writer's strike happened and the actor's strike, it's like stuff just backpiled, but it's unscripted was still moving. Real life stories, getting cameras on real people and learning about that, right? Like those can be the inspirations for your scripted projects. So
Love it, bro.
if that answer.
Yeah, 100%, man. My last question for you. Who is one filmmaker that you admire and why?
It's so cliche, but no, I gotta give you a better.
Who were you gonna say?
Nolan, man. Like Christopher Nolan is just hands down my favorite.
Yeah.
But I love, is it Damien Chazelle? Like, I don't even know how to pronounce his name.
Denis Villeneuve?
No. Yeah, Damien Chazelle. Yeah,
What
did
is
Whiplash,
Damien? Oh, okay.
What was it?
Earthman,
Whiplash.
Oh, yeah.
La La Land.
He did La La Land?
I love Guy Ritchie too, man. Like just the pacing of his work
Yeah.
is beautiful. I've
Yeah.
always just felt like he's just as ADD as me.
Yeah.
I've loved his work.
That's awesome, dude. Well, bro, thank you so much for your time coming through the studio today. This has been a great episode. Always good connecting with friends and fellow filmmakers that I've actually had a chance to work on set with and work side by side. Dude, for people that want to connect with you, what's the best way to get in touch?
Follow just on Instagram, Casey James Smith. DM me. I'll figure it out. We'll set something up. And then yeah, no, thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, this has been great. Appreciate your time coming through the studio today. As always, like I said, it's great to see you, man. So this has been a great episode of the Rough Cut Club, and we will catch you all next time.